All right, so here is episode 3 of our work. My name's Alfred Nutilli, and I'm here with...
I'm Joe Bacall.
And we're going to go through together building this Laravel site from zero to deploy. Today we're going to focus on theming. We grabbed a theme from Rapstrap. We'll look that over. Navigation and relating content to a user. So we'll just go down the path here. We did authentication in the last one, episode 2. Let's get started. It's a funny order, but I guess it really doesn't matter. We'll mess around with how do we relate our blog post to a user. I know relationships can seem sometimes, I don't know about WordPress, but Drupal was always, I think it seemed always a little bit more complex than I thought it needed to. And so, in somewhat of a, I don't know, you'll see it's really simple in this situation. I think later on we should add tagging, so I'll update the list to include tagging because that's a common need. So we're finally in the right folder. So we typed PHP artisan serve to get our app going, and let's focus on this screen. Let's get here, and basically at this point we just want to start with the relationship. And you could do this with generators like we've been using, but we'll just do this one more plain and just do the code ourselves. And it's actually really easy. It's not even much of a migration. So what we're aiming for is we want to just say, when I call to a blog post, I want to know who the user is that made it and all of their information, for example. And basically in the docs, you can see it's just relationships. And in this case, it's probably... a one to, I always get this one wrong. It's basically a one to many because the user can have many posts.
Right.
So we'll do a lot of copy and pasting. But the first thing we need to do, as the docs say, is there's a convention. And basically we have to add to our database to the post table. We already did this. Okay, great. See how we did this user ID here?
Yeah.
That creates this type of relationship. And
because
so now...
that's the primary key for the user.
Well, yeah, and that's the table name of the user, singular. And that's the ID column in the table that we're using to suss out this relationship. So even though Laravel has its built-in conventions, it also is flexible to allow you to use any type of data table that you happen to have in place. Because maybe you're migrating from another system. But the magic really happens with Eloquent is when we open the user model, which is the class that kind of represents how we talk to our table and how we talk to the database. And we say in here that when someone asks you for, we're just going to, let's see, is this the right way to go? Yeah, okay. It's the other way around. So when someone has a post and they query a post and they say, by the way, give me the comments with this post, but it's not comments. I'm totally getting this backwards, sorry. So when they query a user and they say, hey, what are the user's posts, right? So it's really a nice syntax. It's like user post has many. What are those manys it has? It has post. So it's this has many that then calls to this class. And this method here knows what to do with this class to say, okay, post, give me all the things that are related to this user.
So this is in post PHP. This is your model of a post?
Yeah. So if I was to go into PHP Artisan Tink and just play around for a moment, if we were to say, let's see, I think we have, let's go look in the database. Oh, we can't. It's post 1 probably, right? So we can say, let's see. Post equals post. Let's see. It won't work there yet. I'm going to start off with the user. User equals app user. We'll just say the first user in the system. That's who we've been given everything to, the ID 1, right?
Yep.
But we already know that we've made a ton of posts that have defaulted to 1. So we can now say user load post, and we're going to use it in a couple of ways. And then we can say, see how it shows all the posts? Let me move my window up a little bit. So it's loaded all the posts related to that user so we can use them in our output. So it was really that easy to talk to the database and say, give me all the related posts to this user. And
because of that method that you...
Yeah, what that represents is the system saying, when I'm calling the user model, go find the method post on that model, and then return, which in this case we have a has many. And they'll tell you in these documents there's has one, has many, belongs to, and they go down all the typical relationships, one to one, one to many to many, has many through, polymorphic. And they're very simple once you read them and you're like, oh, I've done this before. And in this case, it's a has many, and it uses that method to call to the post. Now, if we go into post, it's the opposite. So if we go to one to many, and they give us this example of a post or a user, in our case, having many posts. When we go to the post, which in this example is a comments, they will say, well, this belongs to something, right? So a post belongs to a user singular. And then we would go at that and say app user class, and I have to put that starting backslash. And now we're saying this belongs to a user, right? So if we were to get out of here and start it up again, and we say post equals, let me move my command line up. Post equals app post first. That's going to then tell us, look at how it's user one here, right? So now that we've added that thing, we can say post load user, which is that method we just typed, and it loads user, right? I think I could even just type foo. You see, it doesn't really matter. It's just it's a conventions.
Right.
And pretty sure this will work. See how it still loads user? So you're just using the method you make to do what you want. Yeah, to fill that relationship.
So
yeah, what?
Okay, so but we're in the post model now.
Yeah.
We're saying post has a method called user, and
yeah,
they basically that's just a method to tell the post that it belongs to a user. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And it will come down to how we save these things as well, which makes it super easy. Right now it's super easy anyways because it's a simple belongs to, but it assists us in those other ways.
Right.
So, all right, so we show our relationship. So now when we come here to look at this view, I might now want to say, by the way, I don't want to just view this. I want to show some user information. And so as we've gone before, we basically know, oops, I have too many shortcuts. We basically know that when we do a post one, which is a post show, it's the get. Let's see, where's that get? Delete, patch, put, get, post. Here is get, post. So we're using the post show of the controller to make this page happen, right? Mm-hmm. So if we go to our post controller, and we help out show a little bit to have remember how I did the load a moment ago? But now I'm just going to do a with user. We're telling it, hey, when you're doing this query, do a join on it and get me the related user, okay? And so now when we go to our post show file, let's see, so post resource views post show, we can say that we're just going to dump it out really quick. Let's see, we'll just say user, there's no style here. We'll deal with that in the theme. User equals, again with the post user email. So we can simply do that. And now when we do this, we get that user email because in the end, we've loaded everything we know about the user.
Right.
So yeah, it's really that simple to relate it to a user. All of it starting with that initial work we did to make that particular field there.
Actually, but where's our email? Oh, that's does. 'Cause
Oh,
that's-
right. So back to the user table, when it pulls in user, it says, oh, here's the
Yeah,
email.
there it is. Okay.
Yeah. And if we had an avatar or whatever, it would work here. So that does that. We'll use it in the theme later on. Maybe we should have had more stuff for the user to do a little bit more like, who is this person? A name would be nice. I think I actually removed that. But, it's a good example. Like I say, PHP artisan, make migration, alter table users, add name column. I think, and there's this is more formality than, this doesn't really affect the code. Users. I forget the right syntax. Let's see. I don't want to teach the wrong thing here. So getting started, migrations. Creating tables, renaming, creating columns, modifying columns. So this talks about adding a column. So we do need to do that, but I want to see if they had the command, but I'll just stick with this. So I want to make that, and it's just going to make us another migration file.
Mm-hmm.
So if we open up that, it's empty, but I can just, say, I can just copy paste out of here. What table we working on? Users. So I'm just going to grab all this for a moment. Actually, I don't want to create the table, so let's slow down for a moment. Schema tables, table, string, email. So I'm going to say, when we run this migration, we're going to grab the users table and we're going to make a name. And I'm going to say it's nullable so we don't worry about it being filled in, for example. And then, so now we're going to, next time we run a migration, we're going to add that, that field. But we also have to drop it. We were supposed to be good about doing this. So let's grab that, dropping columns, okay.
You have to drop.
Yeah, so basically the mindset is, in your migration, you want to have both the thing you do to do your action or create, and you want to have the thing you do to undo your action.
Oh.
And it actually,
you want to roll it back.
Yeah, and it could be vice versa. Maybe you decided to drop a column, and then you're like, that was a mistake, and you want to roll back.
Gotcha.
So we're going to drop column name. And so now we've done that, and we can go into our factory and just make sure we update that as well. Just because, it just makes it a really nice habit. So we can say faker name. And so next time we seed our database, because we made those seeds, and we make our user, it will randomly make a name for the user. So now let's do that again. I usually just type this. I won't do that this time. I'm just going to do PHP artisan migrate.
And will that run all the migration files?
Migrate just runs anything that hasn't been run before.
Okay.
And then I could do, like I was saying, like you noted, I could do a rollback because maybe I made a mistake, and now it would undo what I did. But see, it won't. And this was what I was talking about with with
SQLite.
Yeah, and it can do it. I just don't feel like getting this driver. Yeah. But I could have rolled back, fixed it, and come back again. Right. A typical issue for me is a typo. So all right, so we added the name column, so we can use that to our advantage later on. I'm gonna just double check the user table to make sure it's fillable. It actually is because it's left over from before. So okay, and let's see. Let's see. Okay, so we have that. We've made the relationship. So let's go now. It's obviously not doing much for us because I don't have a name in there. So maybe we will reseed, start over, come back to things, log in, and all that because we're not even logged in. So let's do that. Oh, we can't do that. So now because we're using SQLite and I'm too lazy to load that, I'm just going to do that. Touch storage database SQL. Yeah, it's so easy. Right. And then I just run that again. And of course, all this is going to be gone now. And I think it should log me out. That's funny. We did sessions last week. So let's go grab my password and username. And again, we keep them here just so we can deploy and seed. You would never really write that in the seed. It's nice to keep it here.
Right.
And it's saying it doesn't match. I don't know. Let's just double check. My password manager sometimes takes over. Okay. So now when we view this, we'll see my email, but we can come back and say, we can go back to that show blade and say, well, email's not really fun. Let's show a name. And then we could do that. So, all right. So now let's go to the next thing, which is let's just start getting this theme in place. So I went here and I just quickly grabbed a theme, something really simple. And like you asked before, like this theme is not about anything besides HTML. Bootstrap, I definitely focus on Bootstrap version 3. And it has nothing to do with Laravel, but we're going to see how easy it is to just use it. So let's get that into place. And let's see, where are we? Git branch. I'm going to do something here just to start a common habit. Set up. Here, we'll do it even better. So instead of doing a M, I'll just do it here. Added user relation to post. All right. But then I'm going to start a feature branch. And the feature branch is set up theme. So now we're not working on master anymore, just to create a good habit. And so I've already downloaded this theme, so let's start digging into it. I have no clue how good it is. But it's usually all honestly pretty simple, and we're not going to go crazy about assets. We're going to keep things pretty straightforward. So they have all of these files here, CSS, fonts, CSS, fonts, images, JS. So we'll carry that over. We're going to throw them in here. Later on, we'll do asset management. So let's see. So at that point, it's pretty simple. We just have to go into our resource we made, which is the default layout. And it's here we're going to start pulling in all that style. Now they gave us this one index file. They gave us many things actually, but they gave us this one that I can use as an example. So let's look at that. So basic stuff.
So would you, on an application like with WordPress, you're always having to, you don't put stuff, you don't hard code it right into the head. You put it into the queue. They call it a queue.
Wow.
Different from your queue.
Wow. And they spell it how?
Well, it's like it's a hook, like in queue, like register the script, in queue the script, and define.
Wow.
Its dependencies and all that. It's kind of a pain.
Yeah, no, it's.
I mean, you could just type it into the head where the head is in your theme.
So we're gonna type it into the head of the theme, and later on we're gonna let Gulp and Elixir aggregate them and minify them, so that we can then dynamically throw them in and do cache busting on them. So we'll get the best of all of that, but I think we'll still have an easy workflow. So let's see, they suggest these guys, so let's copy those. We no longer need our default stuff, and we'll call this Laravel blog. And of course none of this is going to work because it's their theme, so I'm going to tell, just because I'd like to type ahead, I'm going to tell Storm to mark this directory as a root, and then I'm going to say I'm going to put a / here, and so that should do that. Grab Google Fonts and grab this blue-green, which we eventually won't use. That's just for switching. Then you do this Google jQuery min. They're grabbing jQuery. Oops. They're grabbing jQuery, which is fine. And then they do this. I've never seen this.
That's funny.
Yeah, I wonder why they do it.
Just doing it right into the...
Yeah, they're doing it here where they include it and then they write it. Maybe they're showing a demo. We'll just stick to the basics. I won't do that one. We'll just stick to the basics and just use the remote jQuery to just pull it in. We might even have it downloaded already.
Oh, it's saying if jQuery won't load.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's saying window.jQuery or document, right? I don't understand that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is window.jQuery great? Otherwise, write it to the document, which I don't know why it wouldn't.
Why was it an
this
or?
way.
It shouldn't be an or.
Well, I think like you said, they're saying WindowJQuery, great, it's already loaded. Else, let's go write it into the document. But why wouldn't it do it here? I've never seen the syntax. No big deal. I usually do just.
I see. This is just saying if it doesn't come from the CDN properly, load it directly out of this directory.
Right. I wonder why it wouldn't though.
Right.
Oh, did they give it? Oh, they didn't. I was gonna say if they gave it to us, great. I'm just gonna use that. I'd rather use it local. Here it is. Yeah, why wouldn't I just do that? I'm just going to use it local. Oh, they write it right into the code. Yeah, I see. They're just injecting it into the HTML. And we can get rid of all of that. So, okay, cool. That used to matter to me. I used to be on satellite, so I couldn't just do all that stuff.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, I do that too. Just have it.
Yeah.
So I know if I'm ever stranded in a desert with nothing but my laptop, I can still work on it.
So we'll save the masthead for our homepage. We'll come back to that in a moment. So they have the body, no special class. They have the main wrapper container. So they have this kind of like main area. And it's going to totally depend on what page we're on. So let's see here. Here's their example. Google Chrome doesn't always like this. All right, cool. It's being easy on me. Sometimes it doesn't like loading local stuff. All right, so this is the thing, and we don't really want... actually, this would be a nice homepage. It would be totally fine. So we could start with the basic homepage and then move everything in over onto the other places. So let's see. So we have their example of a home page is to show a bunch of recent blog posts. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. I don't think we have a home page really yet, so there's no controller for it. So we can make a home controller just for the heck of it. Oh, this is the base controller. Yeah, so let's just make a home controller. Arson make controller, and I want to get the right syntax here. Didn't mean to do that, sorry. Help. And so I can say name and plain. I just want to make a plain one. And so what I was looking for was the plain syntax, so I don't get all the extra helper code. Oops, it'd be nice to, sorry, jeez.
That's all right.
So make controller, home controller, which will only be one method really. It's kind of a shame. Good example of where we could just store this in the route. Honestly, we'll make a controller, so there's not so much logic in the route.
You mean just from the route, just call the template?
Yeah,
directly.
Totally, and load the blog or whatever. But just it's no big deal. So we'll just call it, public function home, and we'll return view home.
May as well.
Yeah.
Someday it'll grow.
Yes. Let's see. So we have our resources. We have this. We can just make a new file, home.blade.php. And just like all the other ones, like this one, we can just copy, paste, and get rid of the gist of it, as we just want to basically wrap it inside the extending and the section content. So this is now our home page. And so at this point, we could tell the route, see app, routes. So now they get the generic welcome, but we just want to say, no, go to our controller. All right, so we gave it a name, and we gave it as is just a way of saying, because I really like how it does this thing here where it gives us a name. Mm-hmm. So as is our way of saying we want to call it home. So no matter what happens later on, not that one would ever change.
Yeah. Kind of like in SQL when you do that.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, when you rename the particular column as you for output only.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense. So we go to home and we review view home. So at this point, we want to get recent blogs, like 3 of them. Add to template, and they have, let's see what else they have going on. So blog posts, and there's like this other sidebar stuff. Author favorites, like we should obviously change these. We could list out the authors, which in this case is just me.
There's already tags.
Tags, well, yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. We'll maybe leave those just static for now. Read next. All right, and they even have pagination. So they're actually doing the whole shebang. It's basically our blog index, but let's just do it again. It doesn't really matter. Well, let's see that. Now I say that, I'm kind of feeling like, well, yeah. So here's our blog index we already wrote, and we have our search. Well, they're not saying, no, there's this search here, which doesn't work, but it would be interesting to do. Yeah. I mean, look how simple it is. It's not like a big deal. Let's just copy it over for now, though.
Oh, I see, because you associated this other controller that you just made. So
because it's not about blogs, it's about home, which could include not just a blog.
Whatever you want, right?
Like the latest users and
that.
Tags and everything else. It could even include some stuff down here, like an article count and comments and things like that. Maybe even though some of the stuff is silly or not, really needed, we can still, challenge ourselves. So we're going to say post, and they have this sidebar for users. So we can say users equal user all. So we can just give ourselves all the users just because we can fill in that sidebar. We could eventually say tags all, but right now we could just say tags, right? So I could say tags equals an array foo bar. And let's tell it where this is. And we're gonna paginate simple, so I'm gonna go here because it's just a next and older. So let's go to pagination and just trade off that for paginate and simple paginate. That just gives us less info. It just is a next and back. And we'll implement that. So let's see. They have this simple paginate. We have the search. We're going to return post, and we're going to return tags. And that should be enough to get us going. It's interesting, too. It's going to change our model because we don't have images with our blog post. But we definitely can. No reason why not. It'd be a great idea. So we'll upload images there as well. Let's see.
Oh, that's something I hadn't thought about. Like where do you store images, and then how do you make reference to them?
Wicked easy, and we'll definitely cover it because that'd be a good one. I forgot about it too. We do a lot of it with Angular and Flow, but it's super easy to throw it into a form. So all right, so we have now our controller, our home controller, doing the method, getting search results if we have any, which we're not going to do right now. But then it just gives us a pagination. We get all the users and all the tags, and we deliver it there. So going back to there, which is home, we need to do something with all that content. Now, let's see. This is kind of difficult to do for me to do this and this. So what I'm going to do, and I forgot I tend to do this, is I'm going to just throw the whole theme in here, or some of it, just so I don't break any rules. Well, do I really care? Let's see, so that one. Okay, so let's take this index page as our example, and let's just throw it in. Here, we won't put it in public. We're just going to throw it in here just so we can quickly open it in Storm. That's all. That's all. Yeah. So, okay, so we have our index page, which we're building the home page, and they're saying, okay, throw in this header and this will be part of the homepage. That we're not going to. That's cool. Okay, so it's all of this stuff up here. So they have the header and subheader. So let's do this. We're going to take this header and subheader. Oh, I don't need to exit out. And I'm going to copy it right now. This is our home page, but that header is going to be everywhere on the site, right? So I'm going to make another file called header.blade.php, and I'm just going to paste that in here for now. We'll make it more realistic and dynamic later, and actually link to things, and like, you know, these images would be broken because it's a relative path. But in the meantime, we're going to then say, okay, inside of our main layout, whenever anyone comes into here, we're going to get rid of this existing nav we have. Let's just get rid of that. And we're going to just do this at include header, which I actually put into the wrong folder. I shouldn't have done it. I should have unchecked that.
So.
Okay, cool. What were you gonna ask?
No, so I lost track of where we were. Are we not?
Sure.
Are we not doing like a wrapper, like a one-time, like with Blade, where you have like the base file that just says there's a header, there's a content section, there's a footer.
Well, this
right. That's what this kind of is.
Yeah, this is our main layout. This is the file that always.
Good.
Yeah, this always gets rendered.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. I just lost track of which.
Yeah.
Yep,
so
I see it now.
So now, let's see. We can get rid of some of this.
Yeah, right. Include the header because it's the same every time, but yield the content because that's dynamic.
Exactly.
Yep.
Let's see what they do on the bottom here.
Now, but the header is not going to be hard-coded forever. Would you still use include?
Yeah, I mean, the header, basically, to me, what it means is that I rather open this. I could paste it right in here, right? All that header stuff.
Yeah.
But I just hate the scrolling, right?
Yeah.
So I find it just easier to say, no, let's just include it so I don't have to look at all the scrolling, but I know it's there. No, but I mean
the difference between yield and include. So yield, using yield because that's more dynamic.
No, it's a really good point. No, I don't. I honestly do not. I think it's this. I think it's just yield, and we could find the method, but it's yield because it's yielding the content. It means anything in Blade that was
tagged. Hey, this is content.
Section content. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so later on, if you look at the Blade part of the docs, we can even have. So this is section content. We can even make our own section, like section nav, side nav, and we can yield that or use it.
Right.
It's
But
it's something.
Yield the header just because the header is just going to basically be the same. It's going to have the same logic in it every time.
Well, it could have dynamic logic in the header, but think about it. Content isn't a file. It's a so basically it's pretty interesting because it's inside out, right? This is returning to the view index. So in essence, it's saying give me index. But when you give me index is clearly saying, hey, I'm not the main thing. I'm just this section content that extends layout. You see? Right. So it becomes content. It becomes the section content.
Yeah.
It could be called navbar or whatever, and then we would yield navbar.
Right.
But it's not in and of itself a file that we're including. It's kind of the same thing, actually. It's just a different way of getting to it.
Yeah.
And it's inside out. We're rendering it first, but knowing it's not really driving the page. It's just the content that will get rendered later when the layout is rendered. Does that help?
Yeah.
And that wasn't a reassuring
It's the where it's like, I'll go back over it later. And
the docs are pretty good on it. My problem with Blade, and I'm excited to be using it more, is that we were doing a lot of single page apps, but we're realizing Blade is so fast and easy to use. We're starting to use that more. But see how they say section sidebar? You can name things different sections, and then they will show up and be part of these areas. So you could extend those particular layouts, like give me the parent and things like that.
Yep.
It's
like I did a little bit with Twig.
Right.
It's just like Twig.
I think totally. I think it might be a little bit more simplistic and not as extensive as Twig. All right, so at this point, we still have to do the whole body area, but I think we'll see that it's starting to really show the header in the post. Like, there's not enough here. We're going to pull that in right now. So basically, the theme that we grabbed, that index page, was saying, okay, you got the header. Let's grab that. You have the header. I think I can fold this. No, I don't have that here. Now you have to have your main area, whatever. That's, what I see it called. And that's the content. So it seems like the main area, we'll have to pick apart a little slowly. So we have this main, and then we have the container, and then we have a row, and then we have the main blog. So because we're on the blog. So, like, it will be a little bit of a rework as we go, but, like, how much do you include in the main layout? How much do you include in the actual, blog content? So, or the home page. So here it asked me to add this and main and container and row and then render. And then we actually, by luck, had 3 remaining divs. So it all matched up by luck. But it's not in a moment. And then this says, well, on a blog main, which is our homepage, I want to do a call 8 row. And then I want to do a bunch of iteration on each blog post. So this is going to happen inside of the homepage, not the layout. So we'll come back to this in a moment. So if we scroll down, we're going to see the footer. That's what I was trying to get at. And the footer, like the header, we can deal with later. So let's just say, let's see. Now the question is the footer inside the container? Is the footer inside the... I wish I had my expanders on. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know where my... yeah. I turn so much off because it's so distracting. Folding. Active editor. That's a bummer. I haven't needed that in a while because I tend to pull all this stuff out. Actually, what we'll do is we'll just
expand your screen and
we can just delete them.
Eyeball.
We'll just delete them.
Yeah.
So and expand the screen like this area. Yeah, good point. So then we have that main wrapper. It goes all the way down to here, and so the footer is outside the main wrapper. Okay. So let's say include footer. All right. So here it's telling me, let's see, I'm going to drop it in here. Footer.bleed.php. In this one, I'm not giving any name to or section or includes or whatever. It's just, at this point, just a file or a partial that we're including. And it has no images, so I don't have to fix that at all just yet. All right, so now we get into the actual content. And in this case, it's the home page, and we're going to get all of that blog content from it. So let's start making the blog area. And in this case, it is just the div and the column 8 and the column 4 to bring in the nav. All right. So it says there. Oh, there's an aside.
It's a grid, so they're nesting a couple of rows.
Yeah, let's make that easy to read. Yeah, and we don't need a lot of this because we're gonna use for each loop. So here's where that div ends. So let's start with that. So in here we're gonna say, here's all your pagination. So let's trim this down. So we're gonna actually do a for each here. So add for each blogs as blog, and then we're gonna end the for each. Oops, I don't need that open up. And all we need is one of these really. And the rest we can just, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough. Okay, cool. Oh, they're doing whole
you
like,
have
oh, I see. They're doing double. Right, so it is kind of hard. They're doing this row thing though. You see that?
Yeah, they're doing the grid, nested row situation.
I'm gonna cheat and just let
just do this the half width ones.
Yeah,
forever, and they'll come out.
I know. Yeah, it's the easy way. I don't know why they did it that way. Maybe they were trying to be more precise. We don't have an image. We'll just get rid of it for right now. Here's a link. So here's where we can say, route. Route. Show. Post show. Just a nice shortcut, so I don't have to type it out. I could have just done, / whatever ID, right? But this way, if we ever change, the route, it's not. Oh, I did type it as. Did I type it as post or I keep doing blog. It is post. Okay, sorry. Post. As post. Okay, so we're gonna say here. Here we're gonna say post. And I think it had a title.
And where's that? What's the show method? Where is it? It's in.
Oh, where is this thing here?
No, that post.show is.
So this is part of that route command,
right.
And the route command says, "Well, give me the nice name you gave your route, right?" So the nice name we gave post show is post.show, and so we're saying, "Hey, use the post.show route." Which is this. Now we could change it later on and we wouldn't have to update this template. So say later on we rename post to blog.
So did we call it show, or it's just doing that by default when you did
the fact that we use the resource route means it will give it those default names. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
But you saw us do it for the home one, so you kind of get a sense of how it's done. So we have this date thing, and this is pretty cool. We're going to use, I think this is installed. I think we have a created app. But we're going to, it's Carbon. So we're using the Carbon library, PHP. And so, we have all this stuff right at our hands. We could do something like age. No, age isn't days though. Create from date. See if we can find a simple one. So let's see, string formatting. Wow, it's a cookie string. Just trying to find something simple. Let's just say, we'll just start off simple. We'll just do this. But that should be, because the created that comes off the post is not only the database. So this is nice about an ORM is you get some extra features. And so whenever it returns a date, it's also giving you the Carbon class, so you can format it accordingly. And we could do it in other ways, but it's just a nice little feature. And the body, I don't know if we'd want to show all the body, but we'll start off simple. Post, and what did we call that? Database, migrations, post, body. All right, so we get the body, and read more, which we're giving them everything, but we can fix that later. So the read more is basically what we just did here. And they have this special class in there, so I won't mess with that.
We can leave out the read more.
Yeah. Well, we'll trim this up later.
I
It'd
see
be
what you're
kind
saying.
it'd be
It's
nice. Yeah.
already-
Yeah. So let's see. So that should do that. And then we just need to fix pagination, but we should be getting somewhere. We might have an error for my pagination effort, but all right, so we have our thing, and see how Carbon just did that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty sweet.
That's great.
But this is why they were doing it, right?
They wanted equal heights.
Yeah, there's the equal heights thing. I tend to cheat and just make a class on it instead of min height because I hate this stuff.
Yeah.
You could do something like if odd or even, we could throw in that new row. We can just set a class on it later, a min height. We'll come back to that shortly. All right, that's good enough.
There we go.
All right, that was fun. So we get the basics. So we have the basics, and we can now plug in pagination. It's simple pagination. So we might have to fix our what did we have before? So let's see. Simple paginate does that. Displaying results. Render. So maybe it is just that. So we just have to do that. So they have this. I wonder if see how they have the style there? I wonder how we're gonna get stuck there. Oops, wrong page. So here's what it gives us, and we could tell it to we can style out the pager. It talks about how to do that. Let's see. Displaying results in a view. Yeah, it's funny. We can style this out. It's definitely not what I'm excited to do, but we can come back later and do that if we want. We'll keep it simple for now.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, you're not the typical client.
You're right.
It has to be pixel perfect. But you could make a template and style it there, or other ways. So, all right, so we have that. Now we have this user stuff on the side. So let's go see what they did there. Now, let's see. What do they have? They have the main wrapper, all the blog articles. And then they have this aside widget. And they have this stuff. So it starts here with this aside. And so right under the pagination, we could put the aside. Now,
there's a bunch of aside widgets.
Yeah, we're just going to... Oh, there's different types. Yeah.
We could do one.
Yeah. They actually might be pretty easy. Like the read next will leave alone right now. Author's favorites. Oh, this is like the author of the website tag these. But we can just say, users, so you can maybe follow them later on. And it would just be a list and say, for each users as user, and I'll just throw that in there. And maybe later we'll filter it by that. We don't even have a route for the user, ironically. So we won't even deal much with this. We'll just leave it as this is what I was saying before. You can make it we use that route thing, but it would break because we don't even have a users route. Users. So this doesn't even exist, but we'll just make it here just for later.
Okay.
But see, I didn't use that route function because it doesn't exist. I could notice how here I didn't use route. I didn't do.
You're just hard coding.
Yeah, like instead of using the nice route syntax here, because we don't, it doesn't exist. I'll just hard code it because it's just fake for now. We'll call them we'll call them users. So tags will come back later and do that. That will be a nice one. Was there anything else we did in here? Post. Post tags. Well, we did do tags, so we can just like show that. Definitely wasn't.
We didn't get them from the database, but we have them.
Yeah, right. So let's see. Same idea. Pretty simple. Tags as tag. This is a good example of like where would this go, right? It could be like just staying at home with tags equals, the ID of the tag, for example.
Right.
So it's totally doable that way.
So you can just give it that like query string, and it will.
Well, not yet, honestly. That's where we did all our work before.
Yeah.
So we would come back to the controller and say, "Oh, is there a tag?" Well, wrong controller. Is there a tag coming in? Like, see how we say, "Is there a search?" Great, do something. We can also say, "Oh, there's a tag. Let's do something there." So we can definitely build off of that feature shortly. So right away it doesn't do anything, but if we used it, so let's just do a dd if request input, like it told before, tags, and do something, right? We're just going to dd, here, right? Make it a little bit more dynamic. And so basically, if a user comes here and sees nothing because they're down here, they would then be able to click that tag and see tags foo and see how it pulls it out. Just it's a query string, and the input puts everything into this one place, gets query strings, post stuff.
Right. It puts it into get.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it puts it into get. It puts it into input. So instead of you doing like server get and server post and server whatever.
So if you put a question mark equals into an address bar, you're effectively putting whatever comes next into get. I'm just curious.
Like
that question mark equals, that's like.
Well, it's / question mark equals, so it just happens to be home. And it's just saying, hey, go back to home, but when you're there, throw a query string at it, right? Yeah. So make a request to the route, and in that request, I want to add the query string tags. So it could be post. Now if we did it, it would go back to our post page, right? With tags. That's all.
Yeah.
And we'll make it work out later, so it'll make even more sense. Let's see. Why did that go off to the side? I must have missed.
We didn't make our next column.
Yeah, I didn't make that. Well, right. It's I never closed this guy, so this 4 became part of the 8. But now I think I'm over by a div. I could be wrong. This is where I'm really, now I see, this is the only time I've ever missed my folding things. All right, here we go. All right, so, wow, that'd be a great topic. Let's see, read next. We can just do the latest, we can just do a quick thing here too, because why not? We can just do another for each loop on the, so we'll go back to post. And there's nothing special about this. We're just going to, instead of showing the output, we're going to show them here. But it is funny. It's always going to change. Here, let's do something a little bit more fancy. Let's go back to our controller. Sorry. And I'm also going to say, so no matter what happens, if we send a query string here, it would mess up with that right-hand menu. So I'm going to do a post latest. Sorry, I spelled it wrong, but I actually want to go. I want to go in the docs. And I want to see if there's any tricks for this. Relationships getting started. These are the more in detail docs. Joins, retrieving results. Take 5. I think it's take. Okay. And this is DB table because they're not using the model classes because this is just examples. Skipped in, take 5, get. So I'm just going to say take the latest 5, and we're going to get them because we're done with the query and we just want to do a get there instead of a paginate. And we're going to throw latest here. So no matter what, we'll always have the same latest, which should be the latest 5. So let's go here and say latest. And then let's snag this here. We can just take this whole thing and do this. What, is that really a spelling? You can't do latest? Is that totally bad grammar?
Latest, why not?
Yeah, come on. They're late. They're fashionably late. All right, so we now have an error, undefined variable latest, so it must just be a typo somewhere. So if we go back to home,
latest.
Oh right, I didn't pluralize here, and then pass it as pluralized. Okay. That's interesting. Something's wrong with my query. Take
Please
5.
get 5.
Yeah.
Do you need like DB take 5?
No, that's totally nothing you'll ever need. That's more about I think one of my problems is this. I might have just blown CSS's brain. Basically, or HTML, I didn't have my iterating of the LIs.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's all. It was just like, what are you doing? So now we have something. So, we have our home page, and we have a sense of that. I mean, it's obviously a lot of freaking work.
Yeah, no, but it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you can see little things like later on, like this is a tricky one, like, and we can do it. I'll go over the article.
Yeah.
But like, how do you say on every
Make a good
single?
account.
Yeah, and not only that, like, it's on every page, and I don't want to do it every time. I want something that's cached so I can reference that, and we'll do that. That'll be a nice touch.
Cool.
A Hall of Fame, we have no clue. In contact, we'll do a contact form before long. But let's keep just fine tuning this page, I think, for now, and then we'll be done. Let's see. You're not supposed to say great.
What do you mean?
I'm
I'm spacing out.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I remember listening to a kid tell his mother, like, she wasn't really paying attention. She's like, "Mom, I just killed this grasshopper."
Yeah, that's
blah,
great,
blah,
honey.
blah. Yeah, she's like, "That's
I do that all the time.
cracking up." Yeah, now I'm that parent. I'm like, totally get it.
It's
Like, whatever,
yep.
dude.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah. So we got relating to a user. We got the theme started. Navigation. I mean, it's pretty simple right now. Let's go fix it. I think we actually had it working before, but let's go fix that. It's called a header. And what do we really have here? We have index page, which is home. We'll call it home. And we have the blog details. I have no clue what that is. Let's go look what that really is. I think that's when you view a blog. I have no clue. It's this guy here.
Oh, they mean like the blog single.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so it's just the actual blog show page. These I must be looking at the wrong ones. These are what I want to mess with. So I'm definitely looking at the wrong ones. So here's our logo, which I hate. We'll have to get rid of that. I guess we can just make it a. See how they reference index? That doesn't exist, so we have to switch that, and we'll just. We'll just call it that for right now. And of course that's their site, looks great. Alright, but I have to fix that. Get bootstrap. Typography. We'll just do an H1 for now. I think it's supposed to be something else. 12.
Really
I don't know what that would do. Yeah, is that what that would be? Super small. Alright, that's good enough. But my question was, like, in this nav, like,
right.
in this header, oh, it's down here, right? Blog. Well, where is it? This is the active breadcrumb. We haven't even got here, but here's about. We do want an about page. We'll come back later and make it. And we want credits. What the hell is credits? Jeez. Oh, credits of who made this. Huh. It doesn't exist. We'll come back to that later. We don't want credits, but we want about. We'll call it just contact. We'll make a quick contact form later. Yeah. That should be a good place for spam. And I don't know why you would link to blog detail, because it would just not be a page. But they're just doing it for example.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's just for their example. But here's a good example of like where I don't want to do this. I could easily now just do route, and the nice name we gave it was post index. And we can come back to our index page later on that we can, really benefit from the work we did here. So now we have blog, about, contact. One of the tricky things is like, how do I know it's active, right? So here's blog, about, contact. I think this is still a little bit more complex than it needs to be. That's the breadcrumbs. That's the about.
Yeah, how does it know it's active?
Here it is.
Like
it's a drop down. I don't know why it's a drop down. Like where? Oh, there it is. See? Which we don't need at all. So let's just skim that out of there. And do this right here. All right, let's grab that. Put that here. And do another one here. And just do again, we'll just be more consistent here. Not that this will change. And that's that nice name we gave it. All right, let's get rid of this drop down because this is not needed. All right, so now we have our home blog post, but there's no way to know where you are. You see how we still don't have that active?
yeah, so you just got to put the active class on it.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do that. And I don't know the best way to do this. I cheat, so this is what I do. Let's see, active. Active goes on the LI, okay. So it's basically saying, is it active, right?
Yeah, so you put it on the first one.
Well,
like
but I want it to be on the page I'm on, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
So basically how I do that is I just say if route URL equals, what would that be? I think that. Then it would be active, right? So then, and I don't like this. I don't know a better way to do this. And if it's not, else. So we're saying else, then return li, right? But this can get terribly ugly.
Then how would all the other ones? You're not gonna do
Well,
it
that's
for
the
each
thing.
one.
We'll start. Yeah, exactly.
So how does that usually?
You could. This is. I mean, You could do some things in the back end because you could pre-render. It's really simple. You could just make a route. I don't even know if that would be great too, but basically you could do let's see, views has sharing data with views, so you could do something ahead of time to render your routes and put that logic in there in PHP. This is to me like okay, like it's not going to grow horribly. Like if you were growing this big menu structure, it would be dynamic. Yeah, and you would be rendering that at somewhere else, and you wouldn't be doing that in the view. That somewhere else would be like building one of these. Yeah, that would then build your menus. But like think route URL. Basically, if we do this, we can just do this. Like if I do that, you'll see what it's outputting. Route URL, route. I have the wrong thing. Request. I think that's it. Oh, I didn't fix it. All right. So it's localhost. See, it's we want the path. So let's see if I can. I can't do this here. Request. Let's go dig into request. So what does it give us? A method, a root, a URL. It gives us a full URL. It gives us a path. That's what we really want. So we want the path. So if the path equals, it didn't save.
It's hidden back there. Oops.
Whoa, that was killer. Like literally, I think we killed the server. That was interesting, huh? I am not sure. I mean, I know Beanstalk exists on... No, it doesn't even exist on my machine.
It's gone crazy.
No, I thought I got rid of... That is so interesting. I'm just going to change directory for a moment. php.serve localhost, because I think that uses 81. I can force it. Just out of curiosity. I don't know. So we'll just stick to that for a moment.
And there's our path.
Yeah, so now we see the path, and we're just going to say, we'll keep it simple. If path equals that, fine, then home is active.
Right.
Not pretty, but it's going to get us by for right now. So let's see, we have our if, and we have Storm not having a clue how to indent this. So this would be post, and this will be something later on. And we can even do something like more simple with that. We can do some more stuff later on, but basically this would be about. And see if we can get this thing to actually work. Nope, it doesn't know how to indent this at all. Contact. Okay, so at this point we get that dynamic active flow, and I think this will work. It will look horrible, but it should have been active. I bet you, and I forgot about this, it's going to be only on home will it show a /.
Right.
On the rest of them, it just doesn't start off with a /. So now it will work. So see, yeah, and about is not there. Contact, and we can do those in next time. They're going to be easy. This will be more static, and this will be more of a form. So all right, we've got some progress there. Got a lot more to do. Now I know why people don't build their own blogs as much.
I mean,
well, you see on WordPress.
Painless.
Yeah, I know it really was. I mean, in less than an hour.
Yeah,
we have a theme installed.
If we hadn't been doing all that talking.
Yeah. And we weren't, messing around with things and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's true. It's true. My site's wicked easy. It was a great theme to put into place, and it's been fun to learn things. So, you know. What do you think overall?
So, about what? About the whole thing?
Like when you think about the theming moment, like that's one of your biggest things you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, theming. It's like I would rather like the way I've done it before. It more often is like you have the PSD and they're like make this, and then that's almost easier than taking a whole bunch of HTML that's already there and then trying to rejigger it. On the other hand, I always grab templates off of Bootstrap, whatever, or Foundation, whatever. So,
yeah.
I mean, this was a good exercise to just see,
yeah,
that, you know, how to quickly bladify. I mean, it's a lot like, it's just like WordPress, really, as far as like,
oh, that's cool.
You take some HTML and poke some holes in it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part to it. Like, I
Yeah.
think Drupal abstracted the theme layer
Yeah,
so much
exactly.
that it was
Yeah.
just horrible.
Yeah.
Where this brings it back into that, like, oh, it's HTML and CSS. Great, I can get to work.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little things that, okay, like that get last 5 thing that you did.
Yeah,
That was independent of the controller entirely. That was
yeah. This is just
You can
this is just eloquent, right? And if we dig into that class, it extends the model. And if you look, let's see, we'll look for function take. Is that what it is? Yeah, it is. Okay. So if we look, we should find function take, but we're not gonna, because then we have to look at, well, what other classes is extending. So if we go back to the top, it implements, well, it doesn't extend anything. It implements these guys, URL. So I thought it would be in here, but we can make it easier actually.
But the point is, you can just put that in. You can just call that out of within your controller, and it knows to get the last 5.
Well, remember, you're calling it out of the facade. I think it's technically a facade of the model class. So it's saying,
Oh,
you know,
post take 5.
yeah,
Gotcha.
hey, dependency injection or whatever's
Right, so
taking place here.
That post model, because it's an eloquent model, it comes with like hundreds of methods.
Yeah, little shortcuts of common functions,
Yeah,
and
that's
does
awesome.
little, yeah, it does those additions like, hey, I know you're probably going to take this created at date and want to tweak it in 1,000 ways.
Yeah.
So let's
No,
throw
that's
carbon
great.
in there. Yeah.
Because that's the kind of stuff that you have to write a lot for.
Yeah,
Not
I think
necessarily.
I think that's where he's really good at Laravel. Taylor Otwell. He kind of understands the day to day, and he makes it less painful. Here's the take function. It's in the query builder, and you can set the limit. So you're basically saying, well, when you set take, you're setting a limit, and when you set a limit, you're basically doing this, and then you're returning the rest of the model. And whatever this is, I guess it's relative to these classes to talk to any database, SQLite or MySQL or Postgres, in a way to do that.
So abstract.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it gets abstract because it's like it's written for any database. So, but these are all the builders. This is what builds the, as it says, query builder. So that's kind of neat. I love digging around the code.
Yeah.
All right, so next week we'll keep working at it. I mean, we can get that the some of the cacheable footer stuff, shareable stuff in place. We'll get the image upload and start tackling those. I'll make a note on the site to let people know what's next.